This video was supposed for God of War 1. You may be going, how does that make any sense? This is a prequel to God of War 1. That's because information that's told to God of War 1 is still told to you here as it was the most common knowledge thing. It's a weird case where technically it's information character already knows, but God of War 1 laid it out as piecemeal information, but they tell you here blatantly. So, weird thing aspect for the story, but despite being a prequel, it does have spoiler stuff for God of War 1, so you're warned. You cool with that? Okay, let's go. God of War Chains of Olympus originally came out in 2008 for the PlayStation Portable, and was developed by Ready at Dawn. And playing this game, I am surprised they managed to make God of War formula work so well on the PSP and translate so much of it to the PSP very well. Interesting when it comes to how people talk about God of War, the spin-off titles on PSP are generally seen get like some of the most praises throughout the series when it comes to narratives being told in those games. More so Ghost of Sparta in terms of Olympus, but still, it's an interesting case to see people really talk highly of the portable spin-offs to a point where in some cases people overshadow them talking about the main games themselves. Our main premise is that Kratos, being under the service of the Olympian gods, is sent to stop the invading Persian army. After doing so, the sun falls out of the effing sky, with Kratos later being told that Morpheus is deploying fog around the entire world, causing everyone, including the Olympian gods, to fall asleep. So it's up to Kratos to try and investigate what's going on. On top of that, he keeps hearing some mysterious song that keeps sounding familiar, but the further he goes, the more he keeps going, where can I place this song? What's going on here exactly? Kratos is informed by Eos that her brother Helios had been abducted by the Titan Atlas. So Kratos' goal is to rescue Helios so the sun can come back in the sky, which will then awaken the Olympian gods so he can deal with Morpheus' fog. And despite Morpheus being a big threat of this game, you never actually see Morpheus at all in the entire game. Just the effects of his fog and everything, so pretty weird, but alright. Despite being an overall shorter experience, I do like what they do with the story of this game. While the issue being the fact that I wish the final payoff was a bit longer. Like, this game's finale is my favorite part of the game, but I feel like it goes by so quickly it has to go to a final boss fight. So I wish the step to final boss fight had more going on, more of those moments to really nail the feeling the game's going for, but that would have been done a bit better. Not make it too longer, just a bit longer so player can soak in what's going on here, and then have to then transition into final boss fight. Otherwise, the transition is just cut so fast. That's one of those things where you get to have the sense that the game's trying to go for this more dreadful and sorrowful scenario that's trying to happen. I also like the fact that with the gods all out of commission thanks to being put to slumber with no sun in the sky, this is one of those things where Kratos just has so many opportunities to just say F it to Olympian gods, which of course he does as a prequel title. This is one of those things where like he has so many opportunities to be like, you know what, screw those guys. Just one of those interesting aspects that while the Olympian gods be able to do jack all, Kratos can technically just do whatever the hell he wants. And there's some people who try to take advantage of that and persuade him to do certain things. This is one of those crazy aspects of like, he could technically just tell her to go piss off right now. Overall, I do like the story of Chains of Olympus. Like I said, I just wish the finale arc had a bit more before the final boss. But what the game has on offer, especially for shorter runtime, does work very well. And even though shorter runtime does also help, because it means that it doesn't feel like the game has to meander for a while. It can get to the point faster as well, where the console titles tend to have moments where it feels like, and we're meandering kind of thing. So doing a short runtime does definitely help. Just wish at the part right before the final boss had a bit more to it to really have that feeling nailed perfectly. Now for the gameplay, we're still being an action-based combo game, but how they managed to translate to PSP controls is done so super well. They managed to still have the ability to constantly block and dodge cancel your combos and everything, which is still super cool to see. but to make some adjustments for the fact that in order to dodge, you have to click in both the shoulder buttons, which takes some getting used to in order to do that. I know the console title is already awkward with the right stick for dodging, but trying to use both of those buttons to dodge just get a bit used to. What I do like is the fact that using magic is way more quickly, because now it's just holding one of the shoulder buttons and then pressing one of the face buttons. It's very snappy and quicker to do than the console titles that require you to use the D-pad or to swap to the spell and then push the button. So that I like. It makes the spells way more viable to use in this version of the game. One thing I'm disappointed by is the fact that the first spell you get is the Jinn Ifreet, because I was expecting like, ooh, we're gonna have all our spells vulnerable on Jinn, and I was like, nope, it's just Ifreet. That doesn't say the other abilities are bad, far from it. It's a fact of, you know, you set up that the first one's Ifreet, and I'm like, we're gonna get more Jinns, and it's like, no, just Ifreet. I do really like the tools you get are used for progress and aspects of puzzles in the game, especially when it comes to something like the Sun Shield. So I do like that aspect where the tools Kratos are getting feel that they're more part of him because you start using them more and more when it comes to actually progressing through the game, rather than just being a new weapon to use for combat solely. So that was pretty cool, although it's where the Sun Shield needs like 2 upgrades in order to do the parry thing that the shield thing God of War 2 already did, but okay. And like with God of War 1 and 2, I'm gonna pour most of my points into the Blades of Chaos because they're still the main weapons of the game, kind of thing. But there was plenty of points to upgrade other stuff as well. I just wish that certain abilities didn't get so late, because it's a weird thing on a war games, they give you the last ability so late in the game, by the time you have the chance to really use it, the game's already over. But instead, I do like how they implement the weapons here, do like how much snappier they are to use when it comes to games, more simplified control scheme, and Ifreet being a Jinn is still cool, especially since AoE abilities are keep being pretty damn useful. What this game is missing is a rage meter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the fact that when they do the usual thing of throwing so many enemies at you, especially big enemies, not having an ability to clear them faster does irk me, because now it's like, oh, I gotta fight these guys at their full health, and I have no way of buffing my damage in order to deal with them faster. Thanks, kind of thing. So I just wish that you're not gonna have the rage meter. You did try and flood me with the big massive enemies that take longer to defeat, as well as giant hordes of enemy waves keep coming. Actually, some people complain that the enemies in this game get annoying, like a slog, but I don't know, some of the enemies you can just immediately obliterate, like smaller enemies, Kratos just immediately grab and just immediately destroy them off the bat, or even enemies that have like projectiles like archers, one of your magic spells just completely one-shots them and stuff like that. So I don't think the enemies are fine. I wish that this kind of thing all God of War games I've played so far, there are more variety, and Chains of Olympus exactly do much with the locales you're in order to make the fights more interesting as you keep going, so they'll start sort of feeling repetition, they'll start to sink in at some point, especially later into the game. We're just like, and now we're fighting more of these dudes, fantastic, let's go, I guess. I already do like the puzzles, because they incorporate more of Kratos' toolset, although that initially did throw me off. I'm trying to figure out some puzzles and went, what am I supposed to do now? Not realizing, oh, I'm supposed to use the sun shield that I have in order to do this. Oh, kind of aspect. So it did throw me off a big bit, like, what am I supposed to be doing now? Oh, my tools. Now as for the game's text, which is kind of cheating because I can't really view it from the intended method of PSP, but they also did remaster for consoles, so technically even on a console screen is the same thing. But aside the point. Anywho, I think the fact for the most part they now change to a white text when it comes to the info boxes, although they do keep the more samey brownish color when it comes to some titles for tutorial stuff, so again, the white text does look better to contrast, although it's kind of opaque a bit, like it's kind of a bit transparent, same with the background. It's a bit weird there. And now you can actually have subtitles for the cutscenes. And you can turn them off in real time, so you can just push square and on off goes the subtitles for the cutscenes, which is, I don't know, for some reason I feel like I could take up a game and let you turn it off in the middle of the cutscenes going on. But that is an option for people who want to just have the full screen of the cutscene, or want to have these subtitles on as well. So that's a pretty cool addition to include for the PSP spinoff. Overall, I do like God of War Chains of Olympus. And part of me wants to say I like it more than God of War 2. I don't know, because there's aspects of the game that does better, but then there's some of the limitations of being on PlayStation Portable that makes it like, I don't know, God of War 2 probably edges out. But I like the puzzles here, especially since you have, for this game, you have little tablets that tell you the prophecy and legends and stuff, so that's your hint in order to figure out how to do the puzzles and everything going on. I don't know, just find the puzzles get more enjoyable. The combat, it's not as enjoyable, but it's still a fun combat and everything, especially with how much better the spells work, but the dodging is a bit more awkward, kind of trying to implement everything. But I just like this game, I think it's good. I see people saying it's the worst God of War game. I would not say for the ones I've played so far, and I would call this one the worst. I'd probably still say 2 is probably lower than this one, everything. So, overall, I like this game more than God of War 2. I guess that's a big takeaway. I like how the abilities to use more for the puzzles. Even a lot of puzzles are still simple, move the boxes. But again, I'm an engineer of God of War game so far that has not been a lot of move the boxes, Kratos. Move the box over there, Kratos. Move the box, Kratos. Kind of scenario. I do wish that they were more Djinns for your magical ability. I know it's a preference because you give me a Djinn and I wanted more Djinns, but it would have been cool if they were all Djinn based this time around. But what we have here are pretty useful. I just wish the last one didn't come in so late, especially since, you know, so the God of War Red Orbs to upgrade, so you still gotta pick and choose what to upgrade and everything. I know we got New Game Plus stuff like that, but our first playthrough, so you're gonna pick what do I actually want to use, and I'm only gonna pick my main weapon. So that's overall. I do enjoy Chains of Olympus. Granted, I do feel like the finale does carry this game a bit because of how good the finale is, everything. As everything else is lesser, but the finale is just the one part that's like, that really sticks out in my mind when it comes to it. Otherwise, just the fact that Ready at Dawn managed to translate the Santa Monica Studio game so well into a PSP and it plays so damn good, which is I'm more impressed by. How they managed to make it play so good on a PSP. Because I was going to watch Chains of Olympus. Alrighty then, good day.